Yo everyone, it's your girl Diamond Ash, and in this video we're going to jump into the Reddit known as LGBT memes. So let's jump right into the video and look at some of these awesome memes. Let's jump into it. And so this meme is like, this guy is doing gender fuckery in the funniest way. And so you're like, okay, well, let's check it out and let's see what it is. And it's like, looks inside, trans misogynistic caricature. And what they mean by that is like the person be like, oh, they're doing gender fuckery, in this unique way and whatnot. And like, oh, cool, I want to see it. And they're like, oh, it's not ha ha ha. I'm rebelling against gender norms. It's ha ha ha. I'm a man. I'm in a dress. Isn't it funny that I'm in a dress and shouldn't be? Like, it upholds gender norms and upholds the patriarchy and is trans misogynistic. So this person's like, in Lord of the Rings, the word man is only used for human man. And so now I'm imagining, like, someone. Are you a man or a woman, Pippin? I'm a hobbit. But what's in your trousers? Mostly snacks. And someone's like, don't think he knows that gender binary is a myth, Pip. I like the mostly snacks, and that like literally fits with Pippin's character in Lord of the Rings. Mostly snacks would probably be in his trousers, just saying. So in this LGBT meme, it's a meme of a short little comic, and it's of two lesbians, and the one lesbian's like, should we go out to eat? And the other one's like, yeah, sure. I should find a longer dress. I haven't shaved my legs. Who cares? Neither have I. Fuck the patriarchy. We'll be hairy lesbians. An interesting thing about that is, as a cisgender woman, I can tell you that the whole concept of shaving legs was completely orchestrated by the Gillette company. Like, the idea of women shaving was largely orchestrated by Gillette and the shaving industry to expand their market using celebrity marketing to create social pressure and shame around female body hair. Beginning in the early 1900s, advertising campaigns, which included launching the first razor for women in 1950, framed body hair as indelicate, unhygienic, and unfeminine. So anytime you hear a man like complaining like, oh, she doesn't shave her legs, it's unhygienic, they're buying into propaganda that was created by Gillette to sell more razors. So no, it's not unhygienic, it's not indelicate, it's not unfeminine. In fact, for like over hundreds of years before the Gillette company created that entire propaganda, there were plenty of women that had hairy legs. Like, traditionally, historically, for a Little House on the Prairie, when it shows their legs, they shouldn't have been shaved. It should have showed hair, because historically that's how their legs would have looked, because, again, it wasn't until the 1900s that became the norm and accepted thing. So, yeah, just saying. So as a cis woman, to all, my trans women sisters out there, you do not have to shave your legs to feel more feminine. You can if you want, and no one's going to judge. I'm just telling you, you don't have to do that, because it's just propaganda orchestrated by the Gillette company to sell more razors. So there's a little fact, just so you know. So this meme is making fun of that question that a lot of transphobes ask people. They're like, oh, you're a boy or girl, right? And, they don't take in consideration that there are people that are gender fluid and non-binary and various other things. So this one's like, are you a boy or girl? And then the picture says, I'm the god of destruction. That one's pretty funny. So what's cool about this one is this person made this in the little program known as Blender, where you can, create images and stuff, and you all have heard of Blender, I'm sure. And so they created this, and it's gender fluid. So yeah, I think this would be like a cool liquid, like a water brand or a cool soda brand or something. If somebody actually had gender fluid, or even energy drinks, that'd be really cool. Be like, oh, here's your gender fluid. Like, it's a pretty good, funny joke, a double entendre there. But yeah, this is very talented. So if you go into the Reddit group, LGBT memes, you can probably check out the person says in the comment section of how they create and everything. So go be sure to check it out if you haven't. So this one's another comic strip, and the person's like, go ahead and take in the sights, but be sure not to let the city change you too much. And then the person comes back, and they're not different, because this is who they always truly were. But in the first one, they presented masculine. And obviously in this one, they're actually their true selves, and it's a trans woman. This person's like, why does this keep happening? So I guess she keeps meeting people, like when they come to the town, and, they're, one gender or the other, and then they transition to the, gender that actually matches who they are truly, and not by outward appearances. So I mean, it's a pretty funny meme, because she's like, why does this keep happening to me? I keep on meeting people that present masculine and are actually women, or vice versa. It just keeps happening to me all the time. I don't know. You're just able to hatch eggs, honey. So this meme is that infamous office meme that we've all seen. And it's like, society commending her for continuing on her marriage vows after I came out as trans femme. And then it's like, my bi wife. Because, like, in this particular instance, the wife was already bisexual, and they're like, oh, hey, good job, honoring your marriage vows after, your spouse came out as a trans woman. And it's like, I'm bisexual, so that's still something I'm into. And this actually reminds me of a friend of mine. So a friend of mine, she came out to her wife, and her wife was bisexual. And so, like, everybody's like, oh, wow, you stayed with her. And my friend's wife is like, I'm bisexual, so I like women and men. So why would it matter to me? So why are you congratulating me for something that I already would be doing no matter what? It's just how things seem to work sometimes. And people, like, congratulate the person for that. And it's like, okay, that's just a weird thing to congratulate me for, When you are non-binary but still have to pick a gender. I suppose this one looks a bit like me. And I'm pretty sure that this meme is a reference to the fact that, unfortunately, for some weird-ass reason, we have segregated restrooms under the guise of gender, right? So, there's only a man, male restroom, or a woman, or, female restroom. But, yeah, and that's what they're separated by. But, like, that totally leaves out gender fluid people and non-binary people and multiple other people. And they're like, okay, so I got to pick one that I look close to, I guess, in order to use the restroom. Which one am I going to use? And so it's like, I guess this one that's close to me, yeah, that's the one I'll use. Honestly, like, when you look into it, like, the fact of public restrooms being separate, right, or separate bathrooms, is a complete invention of the patriarchy. Like, it was the only first recorded instance is in Paris in the 1700s, became legally mandated in the United States, with Massachusetts passing the first law in 1887, requiring separate facilities and workplaces with both male and female employees. The practice then later codified into more model building codes in 1920s, making separate public restrooms a widespread standard across the U.S. The primary driver for these laws was social anxiety about women's changing roles in society, particularly with more women entering the workplace during the Industrial Revolution. And men didn't really like that, because, like, oh god, women are in our spaces, where we were only there, and now women are being independent and free thinking individuals. And so it's a complete invention of the patriarchy to keep women down, and people still go with this kind of concept. And people can continue to argue that it's not the case and whatnot, but the invention of separate restrooms is a direct consequence of the patriarchy in the separate spheres ideology, which separated public and private life, relegated women to a domestic protective role. This ideology led to the creation of separate facilities in public spaces, including restrooms, initially as a way, quote, protect, unquote, women from the perceived dangers of the public sphere, which was considered a male domain. They're like, oh, the women, they're so sensitive and fragile and weaker than us, and we're men. And so it's rooted in patriarchy and sexism, or aka misogynistic ideas that men had about women. And so this concept of separating restrooms as man and woman is relegated and rooted in misogyny and anti-women rhetoric. And when, like, reviewed in the historical context, in the connection to the patriarchy, like I said, the separate spheres ideology which was a Victorian era belief system that held that women belonged in the home while men belonged to the public sphere, saying, oh, you women need to be here and away from us men, and this is your job, this is your position, we're better than you, we're stronger than you, and you have to be protected and stay at home because that's your job, because the Bible or the Quran or the Torah says so. And that's what it's rooted in. It's rooted in this misogynistic, outdated belief, is where the whole man and women restroom comes from. It's an outdated belief that women were somehow the weaker sex. Now, when we observe history, this changed with public life and women's participation as women began to enter public life and work more. Separate facilities like women's reading rooms, separate train cars, and ultimately separate restrooms were created to accommodate this kind of ideology. Like they claim, oh, it's to accommodate the women, but in reality, it's just to continue to push their misogynistic, outdated beliefs and continuing that system of oppression towards women. Now, of course, they try to frame this purpose of separation as the creation of separate restrooms, framing it as a protective measure, creating a quote haven unquote for women in public realm considered harsh and dangerous. But in reality, it's like, no, you have to be separate from us. So it was like a segregation of sort, kind of like how in early America, people separated people by race and said, you use this restroom. It's the similar thing, but based off of sex. And many early architects and policymakers were men, and the designs of these facilities often reflected their views and priorities, sometimes resulting in facilities for women that was smaller, less accessible, and less comfortable. I mean, of course, how men and women's restrooms originally were designed has changed, but it's still rooted in segregation based off of sex. It was never the original intent for segregation by sex was not to protect women. So a lot of these people that tried to use the fact of restrooms, because this is a side tangent, but a lot of people that try to use the sex segregated restrooms as an argument against trans people, but like, oh, it was so we could protect that cis women could be protected. That's not true at all. It has nothing to do with that. It was a prejudice, if you will. And so you're just backing up a prejudice to back up another prejudice. When in reality, the way you could fix this whole thing is just do away with the segregation by sex when it comes to the restrooms to begin with, because segregation never works. And everybody's like, yeah, but we have to have it separated because what if a man pretends to be a trans woman and goes into the restroom to, do harm towards women? Well, straight cis men are already doing that. They don't need to pretend to be anything. But yeah, that's just a side tangent. But yeah, back to the original thing is actually if restrooms weren't segregated by sex, then a non-binary person could enter the one that they feel more comfortable in. Or the thing is if they weren't segregated by sex to begin with, they wouldn't have to choose one or the other because all restrooms would be the same and it'd be problem fucking solved. And this is like some little illustration, and it's like my parents at age 20. It's a boy. I'm sure he'll grow up to be a handsome man. And then it's like me at age 25, so the person that drew this. And they're not a man, because come to find out, they were a person that was assigned male at birth, but they're actually a woman. And they're like, yeah, sorry parents, hate to disappoint you. I didn't grow up to be a handsome man. Instead, I grew up to be a beautiful, gorgeous woman. And this meme is like me and the boys taking our trans mask friend on his first trip to Jupiter. I get it, because that old saying, it goes, girls go to Mars to get more candy bars. Boys go to Jupiter to get more stupider. So this is funny. And you know what? There's not enough trans mask memes. So that is cool that this isn't actually trans mask meme. They're telling their trans mask friend, they're like, you're one of the boys. We're going to go to Jupiter to get more stupider. Come with us, my brother. And this one's like, next time someone tells you it's too hard not to dead name someone, remember this: Arthur only wanted to be called Steve due to a silly concern, and his family went with it. Which is true, and they did it for a silly reason. So for something that's more serious, the least you could do is not dead name. People that dead name people and whatnot in these serious situations, they just do it to be jerks. Because they're like, well, I'm not going to call you by something that's not your birth name. Yet you still call Nicolas Cage, and that's not his birth name. He actually changed his name because he's related to Francis Ford Coppola. You still call John Wayne, even though his birth name is Marion. And there's tons of actors in Hollywood that's not their original name, but you call them by their name they wish to be called. You could do the same thing for trans people, because they're doing it for a more serious reason, where actors are just doing it because they're self-centered and conceited. And this meme is like, every time you post this image, So every time you repost this image, a trans person gets hormone treatment and a transphobe dies. Oh God, only if that was the case, that every time this image gets reposted, a trans person gets their, hormone treatment and a transphobe dies. But hey, since I posted in this video, maybe perhaps every time you reshare this video, a trans person gets their treatment and a transphobe dies. And if we share this video enough, maybe a lot of transphobes will be dead and the world will be a better place because their bigoted asses won't be polluting our world with their bigotry and hatred. So the one person's like, are you a man or a woman? I'm a villain. What gender are you? Evil. Yeah, but what's in your pants? Doom. Doom is in this person's pants. And why are you asking what's in their pants? So this person drew a little comic and they're like, man, I've never really been attracted to anyone in a romantic way. Now that I think about it, having sex with someone is scary. Wait a minute, am I error base? You could be. It is a possibility. And if you are, that is totally valid. And this meme is like, eyeliner has no gender and makes literally everyone hotter. That's just how it works. I don't make the rules. And that is so totally true. Have you seen Prince? Have you seen David Bowie? Have you seen like multiple celebrities? Have you seen the 80s? You know what? That's just a better way to put it. Have you seen the freaking 80s? Have you seen the androgynous lifestyle of the 80s or just the 80s in general? Everybody in eyeliner looks hot. Like that's just what eyeliner does. It has no gender. So there's no reason to call, if you're using the, eyeliner and you identify as male, then you don't have to call it guyliner because, again, eyeliner has no gender. It makes literally everyone hotter. Just saying. I'm starting to notice a pattern here. In the LGBT meme group, there's a lot of, artists here that are drawing their art. I think it's pretty cool, but this one person has a crown. They're like, I'm the dumbest man alive. And then this one person goes, there's two genders and being gay isn't natural. And the person's like, you're clearly dumber. Which, yeah, that person clearly is dumber because gender and sex are not the same thing. And even if they weren't, biology is a lot more complex and complicated than your 5th grade understanding of it. And being gay is not unnatural. Being gay is very natural and exists throughout time that humans have existed and in nature. So yeah, it's not unnatural. Homosexuality occurs in thousands and thousands of species. Homophobia only occurs in one species. So, you do the math. So I'll try to do my best pirate voice. Arr, I be a pirate. Alright, gang, for this job to go off without a hitch, we need someone to seduce the head guard. He's fairly a handsome man, will build a full head of beautiful blonde hair. Overall, a sight to behold. Any volunteers, Janet? Oh, no, I'm into girls. Me too. I love my wife. I don't feel love. Arr, unbelievable. You're putting the whole mission in jeopardy. Does anybody on this ship like men? And then you see, another person on the ship, and you do, Captain. And then one of the person's like, I do, too. So it's kind of funny. He was, having somebody to trying to seduce the one guy, and he could have seduced the one guy the entire time. So this is a good LGBT meme. This is a really good one. The infamous button meme. And so one button is cute girl. The other button is cute guy. And then it shows, the person panicking, and it's like, bye panic. Totally relate. Because as a bisexual, cisgender woman, I can totally relate to this. Because it's like, oh, they're both hot. Shit, which one do I choose? Do I choose the guy or the girl? They're both really, really hot. How do I make this decision? I don't know. I'm confused. How do I make the decision? Do I pray about it? Do I flip a coin? Do I have them do rock, paper, scissors with me? I'm not sure. But anyways, that's all we have time for in this video of LGBT memes. Comment down in the comment section down below of what you thought of any of these memes. We'd love to hear your feedback. And if you want to see more LGBTQ content, that is pro-LGBTQ content, or just want a safe place where you're safe to be whoever you are as a marginalized group and not have to worry about bigoted jerks, then this is the page for you. Hit that subscribe button and the notification bell to be notified of future content just like this video. So anyways, comment down below, and also check the description bar as always where we have the links and all that. But anyways, thank you for watching. We'll have more content very soon. I'm not sure who's making content next, if it's Kai or Tanya. I'm not sure. Kai's usually the one that does the editing and all that other stuff. So he's usually the one that knows whose content's next. But anyways, thank you for watching. I've been your host, your girl, Diamond Ash. Until next time, peace out. I'll see you in the next video.